Welcome to today's mat practice. So we're going to start out on the floor. Our focus today is just to build some stability in the legs and the hips, kind of get things moving a little bit, and especially build some strength around the knees. So sitting in this position, not so great for the knees. We're going to start out on your back. If you need to stop and grab anything, you can always press pause and then just jump back in, pressing play when you're ready. As you get yourself together, go ahead and find your spot laying down on your back, on the floor. And if you can, start with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Bring one hand to your belly and the other hand to your chest. And you can close your eyes here. Just take a breath or two. Find that easy flow. If you can, try and breathe through your nose, but if that's just not an option today, find a way to breathe that feels easy for you. And then once you find that easy breath, bring your arms down by your sides. We're going to start with a really small movement of the spine. So I'm going to move my arm, but you can keep your arms down by your sides. I just want you to be able to see. As you inhale, you're just going to arch your back a little bit, push your chest and your belly toward the ceiling. And then when you exhale, really pull that belly button in, flattening your spine toward the floor. See if you can find that little rhythm. It's just a little rocking through that pelvis, your hips. Inhale, arching your back. Exhale, flattening your spine. We're going to have a helper today. So I'm going to bring my arm to my side, but I want you to continue that little back movement, that little movement along your spine. And if you have a cheerleader nearby, great. Maybe one more breath. Just the spine moving. And then we're going to add moving the arms. So if you can, if you're not petting somebody, on your inhale, you're going to raise your arms, arching your back that little bit. And then when you exhale, flatten your spine, bring your arms to your sides, again, with whatever help you've got. So if you can, repeat this movement. Inhale, getting all that space along your spine, your hips. And then when you exhale, bring your arms to your sides. If you can, do this a couple more times, just moving at the speed of your breathing. So if you're moving faster or slower than I am, that's okay. I'm going to do one more. So the next time your arms are down by your sides, just let those arms relax. Let your spine relax. And then find a spot where your feet feel solid and stable on the floor. Now check in with your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are feeling really tight, think about opening your feet a little wider away from each other. And then find a spot where your toes can press solid into the floor. Arms get to press into the floor, feet get to press into the floor. On your next inhale, see if you can lift your hips just an inch or two. And then when you exhale, pull that belly button in, rolling your spine down. So if it feels okay, do this a couple more times. If your hamstrings start to cramp, that means back off. Try and keep those big toes pressing into the floor. They may want to help. Inhale, lifting, clenching your glutes. Exhale, rolling your spine down. We're just waking up all those muscles around your hips, your legs. Maybe one more. Lifting up as high as it feels good. And then rolling your spine all the way down. Once your hips are on the floor, let your hips relax. Let your hips rest on the floor. Lift your feet up off the floor and hold the backs of your legs here. Now in this position, open your knees a little wider than your body. On your next inhale, you're just going to straighten those legs out in a big V toward the ceiling. Push out through your heels. And then when you exhale, you can bend your knees, maybe point your toes as you go. So do this a few times. We're just feeling that stretch on those muscles we just woke up. Try and keep your low back, your hips nice and solid on the floor. And if you can, relax your shoulders. They may want to help. It's a helpful body. Maybe one more. All right, then next time your knees are bent, set your feet down onto the floor. And if you can, Make your feet a little closer together. There's still some space between your feet, little space between your knees. All right. Now we're just going to focus on this right leg. So go ahead and lift your right foot up off the floor. Take a second here. I just want to make a comment. If you're really pushing your left foot into the floor, see if you can relax that. Just keep your left foot steady, your hips steady on the floor. On your inhale, you're just going to straighten that right leg down your mat, like you're dragging your heel down your mat. And then when you exhale, pull that knee back in towards your belly. Do this a few times. Just find that rhythm. Inhale, straightening your leg down your mat. Exhale, pulling that knee back in towards your belly. If you notice that your hips are wiggling as you move this right leg, try and inhibit that wiggle. Keep your hips stable. Just focusing the movement on your leg. All right, the next time that leg is straight out onto the floor, you can keep your right leg straight out onto the floor. Take a breath. Again, you want to find a spot where your hips feel stable on the floor. I'm going to give you two choices for this next one. You can keep your left foot flat on the floor so your hips stay stable. If you notice that you're really pushing into that left foot, just avoid that. If you want to make it a little different, you can lift your left foot up off the floor and hold your left knee with both hands. Now, if this is causing problems already, just keep that that left foot on the floor. We're going to move the right leg. So when you exhale, you're going to lift your right leg straight up toward the ceiling, pushing out through your heel. And then on your inhale, point your toes, reach out through the tips of your toes, lowering all the way down to the floor. So if you can, just repeat this movement. Exhale, lifting, flexing your foot. Inhale, point your toes so you're extending that right leg all the way down. If you can, do this a couple more times. If any part of your body or the cat says don't do it, listen to your body. If you can, the next time that right leg is toward the ceiling, you're going to keep your right leg toward the ceiling, pull your belly button in, and then rotate your right foot around at your ankle. Just crank your foot around in circles here. And then maybe take your foot circles in the opposite direction. And then you get to lower that leg all the way down to the floor and feel how heavy your leg is. All right. If you're holding your left knee, you're going to set that left foot onto the floor. So wherever you are, just get that left foot onto the floor. And then if you like, you can move your left foot to the left just a little bit. And then move that right leg. Keep it straight. Just move it to the side a little bit more. See if you can find a little space on the outside of your right hip. I tell you what, that cat does not like closed doors. Sorry. Now I'm distracting you. So, in your body, find that spot where both hips, both butt cheeks can press solid into the floor. We're going to move the right arm. So on your inhale, just reach your right arm toward the ceiling and then maybe all the way to the floor above your head. If you have room, if it feels good, on your exhale, you're going to sweep that right arm out to the side, bringing it down alongside your body. It's kind of like you're doing the backstroke. So inhale, extending, big long stretch down your right side. Exhale, sweeping your arm out to the side, bringing it all the way down alongside your body. As you move your arm, you can add a head turn. So on your next exhale, at the same time you sweep your arm out to the side and down, you can turn your chin away from your moving arm. And then at the same time you bring that arm to the floor above your head, turn your chin toward the ceiling. So just find that rhythm, find what feels good for you. Maybe one more. The next time your right arm is alongside your head, if you can, if it feels good, hang out here. Find that big long stretch through your right side, maybe pressing out through the sole of your right foot. Try and keep both hips pressing into the floor. Your body stays in this position. When you exhale, just pull your belly button in, almost like you're flattening your low back toward the floor. Take a breath or two, just finding that space. All right, and then you're going to bring your right arm all the way down to your side. Turn your chin to the left one more time. If you can, just extend, reaching out through your right fingertips a little bit here. We're looking for that little extra space, that little extra stretch along the top of your shoulder, the side of your neck. Take a breath or two here. And then you get to relax your arm. Let your head come back to center. Bend both knees. Walk your feet back to the center and check in. You should feel really crooked here. So take a second, adjust your shirt, adjust your hips, whatever you need. And then go ahead and bring both knees in towards your belly. Just rock a little bit from side to side here. See if you can just find that little stretch across your hips, your low back. When you've had enough, set both feet back down onto the floor. And then maybe just once lift both hips and set them back down. Again, just realigning your hips, realigning your back. All right, now we're gonna focus on the left leg. So hips are stable, spine is straight. You're just gonna lift your left foot up off the floor, bring your knee in towards your belly. When you inhale, we're gonna straighten that left leg down your mat. On your exhale, return to the starting spot, pulling your knee in toward your belly. Notice your right foot. Try not to press too hard through that right foot. You're just moving your left leg. And also notice any wiggle, any effort through your hips. Try and keep your hips nice and stable so you're inhibiting the wiggle. Just moving that left leg. You can go faster or slower than me, but just pay attention to your body. Connected to your breathing. It's a little bit of work for those hip flexors. The next time your left leg is straight out onto the floor, let your left leg rest on the floor. Take a breath. Now here's where you get fancy. You can keep your right foot on the floor, or you can lift your foot up and hold your knee with both hands. On your next exhale, you're going to lift that left leg straight up toward the ceiling, pushing out through your heel, flexing your foot. And then when you inhale, point your toes, reach out through the tips of your toes, lowering that leg straight down to the floor. So repeat this movement. Exhale, lifting. Inhale, lowering down. Again, you go at the speed of your breathing, so don't wait for me. Nice, stable hips. The next time that left leg is toward the ceiling, if you can, keep your left leg toward the ceiling. Pull your belly button in here. See if you can just rotate your left foot around in circles. Crank that foot around at your ankle. Maybe go both directions with your foot circles. And then you can lower that left leg straight down to the floor. Go ahead and set your right foot onto the floor as well. And then here's where we're going to do that little side stretch. So maybe move your right foot to the right just a tiny bit. Bringing that straight leg to the right as well. Just finding a little space on the outside of your left hip. But both hips, both butt cheeks are nice and stable on the floor. That bent knee is toward the ceiling, so try not to drop out to the side here. We want to keep that pelvis as stable as possible. And then you're going to move your left arm. So inhale, raise that left arm all the way to the floor above your head. Big long stretch through your left side. When you exhale, sweep your arm out to the side and down alongside your body, only if you have room, only if it feels good. It might be different on this side, so pay attention. Finding that movement with your left arm. And then if you haven't already, on your next exhale, you can add that head turn. So at the same time, you're going to sweep your arm out to the side and down, turning your chin away from your moving arm. When you inhale, raise your arm to the floor above your head, chin toward the ceiling. Repeat this movement. Find the action, find the range that feels good for you. Now the next time that left arm is on the floor by your head, if it feels good, hang out here. Find that big long stretch through your left side, maybe pressing out through the sole of your left foot, reaching out through your left fingertips. Just take a breath or two here. The big action is when you exhale. Try not to sneeze. Pull your belly button in every time you exhale. Take another breath or two, listening to your body. And then you get to bring that left arm to your side, kind of reach down towards your foot, turning your chin to the right, looking for that little stretch along the side of your neck, the top of your shoulder. Just take a breath or two here. Now relax your arm, let your head come back to center. Bend both knees and walk your feet back to the center. When you get to that center spot, take a second, adjust your hips, adjust your shirt, all of that good stuff. And then bring both knees in towards your belly, wrap your arms around your legs, and just rock a little bit from side to side here. Find that even stretch. If you're feeling frisky, you can lift your head up towards your knees, curling yourself up into a little egg. And then set your shoulders and your head to the floor, set your feet back down onto the floor. All right, now we're going to do some side work. So I'm going to invite you to roll over onto your right side. Find a way to support your head, your neck that feels comfortable. We're going to be here for a minute. So if you want to grab a pillow or a blanket, you can always press pause, grab what you need and come back. And also notice that bottom hip, notice that right hip. If your hip feels tender, if the weight of your body pressing down through that right hip is causing an issue, you can put a little blanket or you can fold up your mat just to give you a little extra cushion under that hip. We want to try and keep the hips stacked on top of each other just for this first movement, okay? So we're going to start with both legs on top of each other, legs stacked on top of each other, knees bent, and then the feet stay touching each other. As you inhale, just lift your top knee, kind of like a hinge or a clamshell. When you exhale, lower that top knee down. And then repeat this little movement. It doesn't have to go far. You just want to feel the muscles on the outside of that top leg, your hip, working just that little bit. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering down. We're going to do this a couple more times. Notice that bottom leg. If you're really pushing your bottom leg into the floor, you're probably working too hard. Now we're going to lift that top knee and then hold it. This is where the work is, right? Pull your belly button in a little bit, someplace you can still breathe. Just feel that effort in your top leg. A little tremor's okay. And then lower your top knee a little bit more. Just feeling that shift. You should start to feel it now. See if you can lower that top leg just a tiny bit more. And then lower your top leg all the way down. Feel the release. Take a breath. Now you're going to keep your bottom knee bent and straighten that top leg down toward the foot of your mat. You should feel a little stretch. If your foot doesn't quite touch the floor here, that's okay. There's a big long tendon, this IT band on the side of your leg. It could be really tight. Now the truth is your IT band is doing a lot of work for your knee, and that's kind of why we're doing this little bit of effort around your hip, because that's what's holding it together, believe it or not. All right, so all you're going to do is keep that top leg straight. When you inhale, lift your leg parallel to the floor. You want to try and keep your toes pointing the same direction as your belly button. And then when you exhale, lower your foot all the way down. So do this a couple more times. You don't have to force it. Just try and find the space. A little up, a little down. And again, notice that bottom leg. If you're really pushing your bottom leg into the floor, you're probably working too hard. You can go faster or slower than me. We're going to do one more little lift, and then try and keep your leg parallel to the floor here. Now, I want you to bring that left hand, your top hand, to the crease of where your thigh and your hip connect. You can have those hip flexor areas. You want to keep this space open, so you're not bending at the hip. On your next inhale, you're just going to bend that top knee, almost like you're going to kick yourself in the butt. And then when you exhale, straighten that top leg. So find that effort. Inhale, bending. Exhale, straightening. If you can, maybe two more. Nice and easy. All right, the next time that top knee is bent, you're going to keep your top knee bent. Bring your knee all the way to the floor in front of your belly. Set that top knee to the floor and feel the release through your top hip. Maybe rub your hip. Apologize for being mean to it. All right, so we worked all those muscles. We're going to stretch them out a little bit. Legs stay in this position. You're you're going to reach that top arm, that left arm straight out in front of your chest. On your inhale, you're going to reach that left hand toward the ceiling, nice and long, opening through your chest. And then see if you can keep reaching back, keep rotating your chest toward the ceiling. It doesn't matter how far your arm goes. We want to find that rotation through your spine. On your exhale, you're going to reach your hand all the way to the floor in front of you. So inhale, opening through your chest, rotating toward the ceiling, finding that space. And then exhale, return to the starting spot. If it feels okay, do this a couple more times. Remind yourself you're looking for that space across your chest. It doesn't matter how far your arm goes. The next time you're reaching behind you, rotating your chest toward the ceiling, find a spot where your arm can hang. Now, if your shoulder's really tight, maybe bring your arm closer to your body so your arm can rest on the floor someplace. If your chest is feeling open, you can reach out at a T to your body. Maybe reach your right arm to the right at the same time you reach that left arm to the left. And then we're going to hang out here. The only action is every time you exhale, you're going to pull that belly button in. When you engage your abdominals, the muscles across your back have to relax. See if you can find that space. All right, now maybe you want to hang out here. Maybe you want to come out and take a breath. If you want to take this just a little deeper, see if you can straighten that top leg, maybe out in front of your belly. So your left arm is reaching behind you and your left leg is pushing in the opposite direction. Pulling that belly button in as you exhale. Just take a breath or two here. Now wherever your legs are, let your legs stay in this position. You're going to bring that left arm all the way, untwisting your upper body. So you're reaching toward the floor in front of your chest. And then you're going to bend both knees. And then I'm going to have you come onto your hands and knees. Now, if you don't like kneeling, you can just roll onto your back, hug your knees in towards your chest and rock a little bit. But if you can, come onto your hands and knees. Again, you can give yourself a little extra cushion under your knees as you need. We're just going to do a little movement with the spine. If you remember back to our starting movement, that's kind of what we're doing here. On your exhale, you're pulling your belly button in. Think about tucking your tailbone. And then when you inhale, we're going to make this big. So think about sticking your tailbone toward the ceiling, pointing your tailbone toward the ceiling. If your low back thinks this is too far, listen to your low back. But we just imagine you're wagging your tail. So tucking your tailbone and then pointing your tailbone toward the ceiling. Just finding that little movement through your hips, your low back. You can get your shoulders into the action as well. All right, now I'm going to invite you to make this a little bit bigger. So on your exhale, you're tucking your tailbone, pulling that belly button in, push your hips back, bend your elbows all the way to the floor. Now if you can, keep those elbows on the floor. As you inhale, drag your nose along the floor until your nose is even with your hands. And then straighten your legs, coming back up onto your hands and knees. So on that exhale, really pull your belly button in. Pushing your hips back, big long stretch along your spine. Elbows stay on the floor as you drag your nose forward. Straightening your arms at the last minute. If it feels okay, just do this a couple more times. If any part of your body, this is a big movement for the knees. If your knees don't love it, you can just do a little cat-cow. All right, the next time you're up on your hands and knees, we're going to stay there. And then just step your right leg straight back. Ball of your foot can be on the floor. Press back through that right heel. We're looking for a stretch along the sole of your foot, your calf. A lot of times the knee issues can come from really tight calves, so we want to stretch them out a little bit. Now bend your right knee to the floor. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So just get a little traction with your toes, pressing back through that left heel, pulling your belly button in. You find the space, you find the stretch at your calf, the sole of your foot. And then you get to bend both knees to the floor. Now I'm going to have you roll over onto your left side. You don't have to rotate completely, I'm going to. As you come onto your left side, find a way to support your head, support your neck, whatever works for you today. And then again, we're going to start with both legs bent, legs stacked on top of each other. On your inhale, lift that top knee. And then when you exhale, lower your knee all the way down. Just that. So find that movement. It might be different on this side. Just pay attention. Try and keep your hips stacked on top of each other. Paying attention to your body here. The next time that top knee is up, you get to hang out. You get to breathe. This is the work, right? Now see if you can lower your top knee just a little bit. A little tremor is okay. That just means you're working these muscles. Maybe lower that top knee a tiny bit more, holding, breathing easy, belly button's pulling in. And then lower that top knee all the way. All right. Feel the work. Feel that effort. Now your bottom knee stays bent. You're going to straighten that top leg down toward the foot of your mat. And again, if your foot doesn't quite touch the floor, that's okay. If you're feeling really tight at your hip, just find some space. Your top leg stays straight. When you inhale, you're just going to lift that top leg parallel to the floor. So your toes and your kneecap are pointing the same direction as your belly button. Try not to rotate. Inhale, just lifting that little bit. Exhale, lowering down. It's probably even smaller than you think. You want to feel this little muscle on the side of your hip doing the work. If you feel your side, like at your waist, those oblique muscles working, you're probably doing too much. Okay, we're going to lift up one more time and then hold it. Pay attention. Try not to push too hard with that bottom leg. Your top leg stays parallel to the floor, and then bring your right hand to rest on your hip flexor, the front of that right hip. Hip stays neutral. When you inhale, you're going to bend that top knee like you're going to kick yourself in the butt. And then when you inhale, straighten that leg. Did I say inhale twice? Breathe however you need. So we're working those muscles around your knee. We're working against gravity. Hip has to help. It's a little bit of effort. Watch your neck too. See if you can relax your neck, your shoulders. Mine are trying to help. The next time that top knee is bent, we're going to keep that top knee bent. Bring your knee all the way forward so your knee can rest on the floor in front of you. Feel the release in your hip. Maybe apologize for being me. Find a spot where your legs feel comfortable because your legs are going to stay in this position. We're going to move this top arm. So reach your top arm out to the floor in front of your chest. On your inhale, you're going to raise that top arm toward the ceiling, rotating your chest toward the ceiling. Just reach toward the floor behind you someplace. And then when you exhale, return to the starting spot. Remind yourself, the goal here is to find that rotation, that opening through your chest, so it doesn't matter how far your arm goes. See if you can do this a couple more times, just finding that space, that little rotation. Remember, if you feel something in your breathing, you're doing this right. The next time you're reaching that top arm behind you, find a spot where you can stay. Now remember, if your arm is really hanging out, if your shoulder's really tight, maybe bring that right arm toward your body and then find a place for it to rest. If you're feeling frisky, you can reach your right arm to the right at the same time you reach that left arm to the left. And then the goal here is to just find that space, find what feels good. Pull into your belly button in every time you exhale. Gravity gets to do most of the work, but this is a big stretch for some tight muscles maybe. If you're feeling frisky and you want to straighten that top leg, you can. If you get there and you go, oh, no, that's not going to work today, just back off. Again, listening to your body here. Take another breath or two. You find the space that you need here. And then your legs are going to stay in whatever position they're in. We're going to bring that right arm all the way to the floor in front of you. Maybe reach out through your right fingertips a little bit, just stretching behind your shoulder blade a little bit. And then good news, you get to roll all the way onto your back. The hard part is staying on your mat and not rolling over the couch. He's a good helper today. All right, so as you find your spot, you're on your back, on your mat, go ahead and bring both knees in towards your belly. Wrap your arms around your legs and just rock a little bit from side to side here. Again, we're just looking for that even stretch along your back. Maybe lift your head up towards your knees here, curling yourself up into a little egg. And then set your shoulders and your head to the floor. Set your feet down onto the floor, knees bent toward the ceiling. Arms get to rest wherever you like. Keeping those knees bent, you're going to bring your feet together. So your big toes are touching each other, your heels are together. And then on your inhale, open both knees away from each other. So we're getting that little stretch on the inside muscles of your legs. When you exhale, return to the starting spot. So if you can, repeat this movement. Inhale, knees go wide. See if you can find that little arch, that little back arch again. Pushing your belly toward the ceiling. When you exhale, bring your knees together, pulling that belly button in. Do this a few more times. Nice and easy. Connected to your breathing. Just kind of balancing the inside muscles and the outside muscles of your legs. Now the next time your knees are wide away from each other, if you can, let your knees stay wide. Just feel that nice stretch across your pelvis, the insides of your legs. Legs are going to stay in this position. When you inhale, just clench your glutes, squeeze your butt cheeks tight. When you exhale, slowly relax. So the goal here is to have a little control. Inhale, clenching. Exhale, relaxing. Again, clenching. And then if you can, keep clenching, keep breathing. See if you can just relax that right butt cheek. Left side stays strong. And then clench both butt cheeks evenly. Now just relax the left side. Keep that right side nice and strong. Keep breathing. And then clench both butt cheeks evenly. Now slowly, with control, relax both butt cheeks simultaneously. Feel that release. All right. Now if you can, relax those glutes. Just bring your knees halfway toward each other. We strengthen those muscles on the outsides of your legs. We're going to do that same thing on the inside. Now bring your knees just a little bit closer together. You might feel your pelvis tilt a little bit. That's okay. See if you can bring your knees just a tiny bit closer together. Feeling that shift in the effort. And then you get to bring your knees all the way together. Lift your feet up off the floor, hands on your legs wherever you can reach. And then just take those knees in big, slow circles. See if you can find that little massage from the floor to the space around your sacrum, your low back. Maybe take your knee circles in the opposite direction. Nice and easy. Just breathing. And then hug those knees in toward your chest. Maybe lift your head up toward your knees. And then set your shoulders and your head to the floor. Set your feet back down onto the floor. So we did a lot of work around the hips, the pelvis. The idea is to get some space so that your knees feel stable. At the end of this practice, you can just let the video play out. You can find a spot where you can rest easy. You can even elevate your legs. Maybe put your feet up on the sofa, on a chair, even up the wall. But the goal here is just to find some space through your hips, your legs, your knees, and not kick the cat. So find that space. Make sure your shoulders, your neck, your arms feel supported here. And then if you can, bring one hand to your belly again, the other hand to your chest, and just take a couple of breaths. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to fix anything. Just Just give yourself a moment to breathe on purpose. And as you focus your attention internally, take a little mental inventory. Notice how your body's feeling here. Notice the effect of the work that you did. Notice where you feel it. Maybe you feel it in your left eyeball. That's always an option. And again, if this feels good, if you need a space, just to rest, give yourself a little bit of time. Let your body rest and digest all of the work, all of the effort we did in this practice. And then when you're ready to come back, take your time. Maybe roll to one side, giving yourself a moment to feel that shift in gravity before you come all the way up to sitting or standing. Maybe give yourself a little pat on the back. Congratulate yourself for taking this time, making this effort. Thank you so much for playing.